Hey guys, you're in with Curly Proverbs, and today I'm going to be sharing my birth story. I had quite a few people ask me if I was going to share my birth story and you know, what my experience was and if I managed to do a natural birth. So inquiring minds wanted to know, and I thought, you know, maybe it might help somebody out there to find out what happened for my birth story. If you didn't know, I gave birth to a beautiful little girl, and she weighed 7 pounds 1 at birth, and my pregnancy was pretty normal, pretty healthy. I had used something called hypnobabies, and there were 1 or 2 comments made in the video, one of my pregnancy updates, where I was saying that I was going to be using hypnobabies. There were a lot of questions about hypnobabies. How does it work? Some people said it worked for them. Some people said, why don't you just listen to worship music? You know, there's not really a need to do that sort of mumbo jumbo-y kind of stuff. But in a separate video, I will be talking about hypnobabies. It really is just about positive affirmations, and I didn't really feel that any of it conflicting with my Christianity. 4 days after my due date, I started to get contractions, and then my husband came home from his late shift, and I was like, babe, I'm getting contractions, or as hypnobabies would call it, birthing waves. And he was like, oh yay, high five, it's finally coming. And then I was like sitting on my birthing ball, I was like rocking, like, you know, all of that jazz just to kind of get things moving. And then like I was in between contractions. He's like, are you having a contraction right now? I was like, no. And he was like, would you do me a favour? I was like, what? And he goes, could you fix me a plate? And I looked at him like, are you serious right now? And he was like, yeah, you're not getting a pain this minute, I'm sure you can fix me a plate. I looked at him like, if you will be my birthing partner, you best get on the phone and call my mum now. Like, I need my mum and my sister here now, because this is not gonna cut it. So yeah, I was like, look, the food is already cooked and the salad's cut, all you have to do is put it on your plate. And he was like, I like it when you do it for me, baby. That's how you know you spoilt your man, when you are in labour and he's still asking you to fix a plate. All right now. So anyway, humorous moment, although it was not humorous at the time, came and went. And then in the night, as I went to sleep and I was laying down and not being as active, like, the contractions stopped. I mean, I think one of the things that brought on the start of the contractions, I think, was the fact that I had been busy nesting all day. Like, I was on my feet the whole day, cleaning and scrubbing cupboards, and then I went to Tesco's to pick up my shopping, and I was going over the speed bumps, and I think that kind of got things going. And then when I was lying down and sleeping, it kind of calmed down. I was able to actually get a couple of hours, maybe 2-3 hours of sleep on that Monday night. Went down just to kind of get checked out, because I was getting contractions and they were pretty close together. They were like lasting a minute, and they were about 3 minutes apart. And I was like, oh, this means it's time to go to the hospital. I've been using like my hypnobabies cues and they've been really helping, but I could feel that it was getting intense. And so I thought, right, let me go down to the hospital and get checked out. I got to the hospital and they were like, honey, you're like about 1 centimetre dilated. I was like, oh, I was so discouraged. I was so discouraged. And I was like, really? Oh my goodness, you know, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna get through? So obviously, like, Monday into Tuesday, so now we're Tuesday, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this baby really should be, you know, I should be dilated by now, you know, more than 1 centimetre, considering, you know, it's been overnight, and like the contractions are now, you know, 3 minutes apart, lasting a minute. You know, I was feeling like it was just so intense. And And then I came home and I felt pretty discouraged, and I phoned my my mum and I let her know that my contractions had started. And then she kind of came in the morning. Like, I didn't really call her until the morning because they told me that it was like a centimetre. My sister and my mum both came, and so to have a change of scenery, we actually ended up going down for a walk to the park, just trying to be active, trying to really get into established labour or birthing time, as the hypnobabies program calls it. And I was just like walking around in the park, and like, if you lived in my neck of the woods, you would have seen like this woman literally doing star jumps, and I was jogging, and I was like, people must be like, what is this crazy pregnant woman doing? And I was just like, must get this baby moving, because I wasn't in a rush for it to start. But now that it started, I wasn't about that start and stop vibe. I was just like, right, it started, I don't want a long labor, I don't want to end up exhausted because it was so long, and then I end up having to have an assisted delivery. So I wanted to be active, and I was like, with my star jumps and whatever not. I found it really difficult to eat and keep much food down. I was like throwing up. My mum made a lasagna, it was gorgeous, I had it and I was like sick, and that was pretty much me. My sister kind of had to go, and my mum stayed the night, and my husband obviously was here as well. And another funny story, I was like labouring in bed with my husband, and literally, so yeah, like the contractions started to come more frequently, and I was labouring in bed with my husband, and he was like, listen, I need to get some sleep. Right, my lady's feeling what I'm feeling right now. If you give birth, your husband turn around and say he needs some sleep. But it's like, you know, it's just so that I could be useful to you. There's no point in us both being tired. So do you think that you could take this party next door? And I was like, you know what? I don't need you to give birth. I can do this. So I know where I'm not wanted. I took my hypnobabies, went next door, was on my birthing ball, rocking. And can I just say, I felt that the hypnobabies helped me so much. Like, it helped you to envisage the sensation as a hug for your baby, you know, each birthing wave as a hug for your baby, and it really, really helped. The only trouble was, because I hadn't slept for now properly, like now we're approaching the morning of the second night, and I hadn't slept, so I would fall asleep, and as I fall asleep I'm not able to concentrate on my hypnosis, and the contraction would hit me like a slap in the face, like what, like literally like right. You've given birth, you know what I'm talking about. So, you know, then I would get back onto listening because of the shock of the birthing wave. And so I managed like 2.5 hours out in the living room area on my own. Wednesday morning came, I still hadn't had the baby, and my sister came back from what she needed to take care of. And now the contractions, my contractions were really weird because I was looking for them to be intense and, you know, 3 minutes apart, lasting for a minute, and I never quite got that. I got contractions, eventually my contractions were like, you know, 5 minutes apart but lasting 3 minutes, and it just kept increasing. And my husband quickly went out and got some food for everyone to eat because, you know, obviously there was no cooking happening. He went out and got kebabs, and they'd eaten it. I tried to eat, it made me sick again, so I wasn't keeping anything down. My contractions were 7 minutes long, and then, for example, I would get like a 16-minute break, and then it would be like 5 or 8 minutes long, and then it'd be like a 7-minute break. So that the contraction times were irregular, but the actual contractions were so intense and lasting for so long. And I was walking through them, I was like pacing up and down, because it's really important to be active in your labor just to kind of keep things going. And it kind of distracted me from the sensations and helped to keep me focused and helped me just to manage the sensations I was having. And so then I was like, right honey, I need to go to the hospital now. And my husband was like, I just made a cup of tea, do you need to go right now? Because I mean, you're supposed to be going in for a sweep at 6:30, so why don't we just go for that appointment, and then they'll just check you over, and then, you know, we'll see if you're actually in established labour, because we've kind of already gone to hospital once and you weren't actually, like, you know, in established labour, so this could kind of be like that. Let me finish my cup of tea. And I looked at him and I was like, listen, you need to get me to the hospital, like now. And he was like, oh, okay, I guess it'll be waiting for me when I get back. You think? Finally got down to the car. You should have seen me, people. I was in my bathrobe and my pajamas, and I did not care. I was just like, I'm clearly giving birth, I don't care, I'm in my pajamas. You should have seen the state of me. My husband had like 2 bags, my mum and sister in the car. We get to the hospital and this porter comes out and he's like, do you want me to wheel you? Do you want a wheelchair? Should I wheel you to maternity? He was like, no, I'm walking, I'm having an active delivery. And so I was like walking, like literally walking up to the maternity unit, and I took the stairs. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. So I get to the birthing unit now. You have to be assessed in triage, and like literally there were 2 midwives and there were 4 women, and they kind of have to kind of go on a first come first serve basis. And I was like, I need to be assessed now, like literally I'm gonna have this baby. Well, I was like, I hope so, because last time I thought I was having a baby I wasn't even like 2 centimeters dilated. So we're now Wednesday, exactly a week after I was actually due to have a baby. And I can hear this woman up there, she's like, I'm not going home. The midwife is like, but you're not even dilated. She's like, yeah, but I know I'm having contractions. When I get home, my water's going to break and I'm not going to arrange childcare again. And I was like, this woman, is she for real? Because there's somebody actually giving birth here. And she was literally going on for like ages. And I was like being all polite and British. And I was all like, I'll be patient. I'll wait my go. And then when the birthing sensation gripped me, I was just like, I'm having this baby, somebody come see me now. They didn't even pay me any mind, literally. They were just about their business. And somehow a woman who came after me was seen before me. I was just like, hold up, don't make me get all ghetto on you, because I got some in me. So this lady comes to see me as midwife, eventually comes to me. I'm sure I must have been waiting for half an hour. My husband assures me that it wasn't as long as half an hour, but it felt like it. So this lady comes and she's so sweet. She's like, ooh, that was a really strong long contraction. I was like, please tell me I'm in established labour. She was like, well, I'm sure you are, but I'm only going to tell you the truth. If you're not in established labour, then I'm going to tell you you're not in established labour. I was like, okay, now that we've got the ethics out of the way, can you check? And so she was like, ooh, here comes another contraction. She's like, I can't see how you're not in labour, but let's check how dilated you are. That's the important thing. I was like, honey, just check. So she checks and she's like, how long have you been like this? I was like, 4 hours. I've been like this for hours. And she was like, well, I was like, please tell me I'm 4 centimeters. I just need to be at least 4 centimeters. She goes, you're 8 centimeters dilated. And I was like, brap. Yes, 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 yes. She then checked my blood pressure, but my blood pressure was way too high for them to feel comfortable not having me in the normal birthing unit and having me in the unit that was just run by midwives. So she was like, your blood pressure is too high, I'm afraid you're going to have to go into our regular birthing unit. And I wasn't very happy about that at all, but at the end of the day they were thinking about my safety and the baby's safety. So I was like, okay, fine. And my opinion was, look, I managed to get this whole way without any pain relief. I'm gonna go the whole 9. I'm not gonna use any pain relief whatsoever. So I get to the unit, and unfortunately I needed to have another midwife, because this first midwife was like, oh, we're going to see if we can help you to give birth to the baby with your waters still intact. You know, your waters are still intact. We might be able to deliver with the baby still in the bag of water. And she was like, what do I need to do to support your hypnobirthing? And she was just like amazing. And then I got this other midwife, and I was like trying to hold her hand through a birthing wave, and she just seemed so cold and so distant, and I was just like not really feeling the vibe. Like I was hoping for someone who's gonna be like, yeah, we're a team, and like, let's get you through this. And she just looked like she was at the end of her shift, and she was like, why is this woman holding my hand? That's what her husband's for. So I wasn't best pleased or really that impressed with her. But then like we kind of warmed to each other as time was going, and this was my big mistake. The hypnobabies tape is like, breathe your baby out, take your time and breathe your baby out. And I'm listening to that, and I have one earphone out, and I'm listening to my midwife. And my midwife is like, push, get angry with it. You want to push that baby out. And I should have just been like, lady, you keep your rage. I'm going to listen to my Zen. But I forgot everything that I had learned just in that time. And I listened to her. And unfortunately, because I listened to her, things didn't go exactly to plan at this point. Oh, I missed out something really important that was hilarious. Like literally, this was my moment of like flipping out, okay? Just before I got to this midwife, my husband, who had just had kebab, was trying his best to help me with my hypnosis cues. So he was like, release. And this is my face, and he's like, release. And I was like, first of all, your breath stinks of onions, so you go to that bag and you get you some gum and you work that situation out. And he like about to let go of my hand to go get him some gum, and I'm like, no, come back, there's another birthing wave coming. And so like he couldn't win. My mum had to pass him the gum. Your fingers stink of meat and onion. Like, you know, when you're pregnant, your like senses are like, your sense of smell is like completely off the charts. So I was like, you stink, but I need you. So it was just like he couldn't win. And then I got to the point where I was just like, get me a midwife. And I pushed him. I was just like, I pushed it when I was getting a really bad birthing wave. I was like, pushed him away. So anyway, fast forward now to me being in the birthing suite. I was like, suddenly I was like, I knew I was ready. I'm ready to push this baby out. Honestly, the birthing waves that I'd had were actually, in my opinion, more intense than the time when I was pushing. The pushing wasn't the worst part. The pushing to me was the best part. The pushing to me wasn't as, I was actually in my head, even though I'd done the hypnosis, I actually had some fear and some anxiety about this part, and I just had to kind of keep speaking to myself positively, like, you can do this, your body was made for this, you can handle it. But that being said, as I was starting to push, this midwife was like, get angry, push. And I had one headphone in and I was listening to my hypnobabies. I was like, breathe your baby out, release. And then she was screaming, she was like, come on, get angry. And so, like a fool, I didn't trust my instincts and do what I was doing and breathing my baby out. I decided I'm gonna push, and I'm gonna listen, and I'm gonna push hard. And this woman, you know, ladies, my biggest tip for you is, if your midwife isn't looking, you know, in the area that the baby's coming out of when you are pushing, then you need to be like look, pay attention, because I am not about that life where you tear. And my midwife, because I'd come in at 8 centimeters, she was like filling in paperwork, which she should have been looking. And so suddenly there was blood, and she was like, stop pushing, stop. Oh, now you want to tell me to stop pushing. She's like, if you don't listen to me and breathe this baby out, you are going to tear badly. And so she was like, yeah, breathe this baby out. I was like, oh, so now you want to tell me to do what my hypnobabies thing was telling me to do, right? So anyway, I breathed the baby out, and so with no pain relief, with nothing at all, all of a sudden my baby's head was there. I could see my baby's head. I was just like, and she was moving around. Oh my gosh, the emotion of that moment. Birth had been everything I had wanted it to be, everything that I had been envisioning for the months gone by. You know, the hypnosis had been my pain relief. I had managed labour comfortably. I wouldn't personally say that it was impossible. I would encourage women that with the right attitude and the right frame of mind, anything is possible. And it just for me wasn't as terrible as I had once feared that it was going to be. And I think the hypnosis had a lot to do with it, and I will do a video reviewing the hypnosis videos. Any of you women who have given birth will know that it's just such a powerful feeling to know that you've brought a life into this world. And I just felt like such a superhero, I really did. And then with the next push, she was out, and she was straight up onto me. Definitely my midwife was like, I need to examine you because I think that you might have had a tear. And I was like, she was like, I'm gonna need to give you an anesthetic and gas. And I was like, you mean to tell me I've given birth with nothing and you now want to give me drugs? Yes. Okay, fine. So I get gas and air, and guys, can I just tell you, gas and air was the business. Oh my word. Like, I was like completely off my head. I was like, ooh, when I was chatting, I was like talking like I would just imagine I would be if I was drunk. I've never been drunk, so I don't know, but if I were, I imagine I would be just chatting like this, just nonsense. And then she was like, yeah, you're gonna need stitches, and you're gonna need to go down to theatre. You mean to tell me because I listened to you? Shoot, now isn't the time for me to tell you what I think, because you like to help me get stitched, so I'm gonna just save that for later. So I went down. I had to have an epidural and get stitches. I mean, what are the chances that you have a natural birth, gas and air, and an epidural with stitches? Who does that? Yeah, me, this sucker right here. The lady who gave me the epidural, I mean, seriously, she was just like stabbing me like that. Like literally, my husband counted 11, 12 puncture wounds in my back. I was like, yeah, this can paralyze me. You go in like I'm a pincushion. And I'm sure like it must have been upwards of that. I'm sure it must have been about like 15 attempts on her part to actually get the epidural into the right place. And she was like, oh, am I hitting bone or am I hitting your ligaments? Oh, you must work out loads, you know. Your tendons and your ligaments are so tight. No, do your job properly and don't try and blame it on me working out, yeah? You just need to get the epidural in the right spot, okay? You can try 3 times, but no more. Please comment below. Tell me, what was your delivery like? And also, are you thinking that you might want to use hypnobabies? Yeah. Peace. And God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.